Good morning, Unity Spiritual Center, Spokane. My name is Dr. Gary, and I'm here with my co-partner, Dr. Jane. We'll welcome you to our Sunday morning worship service today. Our mission is transforming lives and inspiring people to make a positive difference in our world, and so we invite you into that intent. We will want to begin our time together by affirming our opening affirmation. I'll speak it once and invite you to speak it with me. There is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe, God the Good. Together? There is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe, God the Good. So if you have an exception to that principle, well, you're in the right and perfect place, because we're here to break through those exceptions and really know that all things are working together for good. All right, well, today we have a special news you can use presenter, and I'm going to invite Joan to come on up, our board president.
Good morning. Glad everyone is here today. I'd like to share with you a few things from the board. First of all, looking at reopening, we're continuing our 8:45 service in the beautiful prayer garden. Invite everybody to come who can and wants to do that. The board is meeting every 2 weeks now to both get all the things done that we need to be doing, and also to keep abreast of our situation with COVID-19. So currently we're going to continue with that early morning service and continue with live streaming until we see some major changes in the situation. So as far as the transition goes, I have some announcements I'd like to share. We have pretty much completed forming our transition team, which is the team that will be handling the operations of the center between the ministers once Jane and Gary retire and before we have a new minister come. So I'd like to announce that Tara Ware has agreed to be our transition team coordinator. So thank you, Tara, for that. We're looking forward to that. The members of that team will be the leaders or the coordinators or the facilitators of all of the other teams and groups that are operating at the center here. And I would just like today to tell you about a few of them. These are mostly the ones that are new, that we're forming either to make sure that we have all of the important functions of the ministers covered during that period, as well as a couple of new initiatives that came out of Conscious Conversations, the process that we did a couple of years ago. So our new team leads, we're calling it a worship team. It'll be the team that works with the Sunday morning services, a very core function of our ministry, and Amber McKenzie will be the lead of that team. For adult spiritual education, Reverend David McClure has agreed to be the lead for that team. Outreach and marketing is a new team that came out of Conscious Conversations, and Gay and Dave Ribble have agreed to be the leads on that team. And our connections team is a new team. We've had some parts of it we've had existent before, but we're starting new this time. And that consists of the welcome team, the community building, social event type things, and also new member orientation. And Sally Sledge and Jeff Hunter are the co-leads of that team. And also we have Karen Dunmore and Dr. Jane are working on revamping the volunteer system with some help from the staff. So those are some of the new things that are going on. There will be volunteer opportunities on some of these teams coming up, and probably by September we'll have all the information and ways that you can let us know if you'd like to be involved. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Joan. Also, we want to mention that Reverend David McClure is going to be starting a new online class entitled Creating a World That Works for Everyone, and that starts on September 2nd. And so if you're receiving our weekly e-newsletter, you can find out information there, and if you're not, go onto our website, unityspokane.org, and sign up to receive our newsletter, and you will receive our weekly updates. All right, so I think it's time for some special music piped in from another part of the city. Sean and Tana, you're up next.
God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need.
All right. God gives me everything I need. Oh, by the way, Sean and Tani, we've had a special request that we go out on the peace song. So if that's something that you're inclined to do, folks would love to be able to sing the peace song, whether it be at home or outdoors. Anyway, tell us, let us know what you think. Anyway, it's time now for meditation, so I invite you to settle into your chair or wherever you are. And as we begin to bring our awareness to our heart space, let us simply allow ourselves be held. And so just let yourself relax. Drop your shoulders. Straighten your spine. Feel your feet as it touches the floor. Feel the small of your back as you feel yourself sitting. And as we bring our attention to our heart space, let us bring into our awareness someone or something that we appreciate. Could be a family member, a life partner, a fond memory. cherished pet, just whatever carries with it the felt sense of appreciation, gratitude, or love. And as we feel ourselves enfolded by the sense of appreciation for what surrounds us energetically right now, the loved one, the life partner, the fond memory, as we just simply allow this feeling of gratitude to rise up beyond our physical selves, so that together we're creating an energetic field. And as we imagine all of the souls that are a part of our spiritual community, as we think about our family members and friends that are connected to us right now in our hearts, we feel ourselves a part of a greater experience of oneness. We can feel that oneness within ourselves, but as we open our hearts and minds now to include others, we can broaden that circle. And then if we imagine all the people that we have brought to mind, also bringing into their minds and hearts someone or something that they appreciate, we can begin to build a wave, a field that encircles everyone. And so as we feel into this moment as being a part of a larger whole, we can allow ourselves to drift into a vividness regarding this present moment, a clarity, an absolute certainty that God is and I am. And whatever we would claim for our higher power, we must need to claim it for ourselves. And in our experience of feeling no separation from Source, indeed sensing ourselves as that very essence, Source, the One, Presence, all of these are descriptors of who we are in our heart of hearts, who we have come here to be as an instrument of the divine. God is, I am. And therefore I have a purpose. I am here because I matter. And as I know my worth, as I know the truth of who I am, I can simply allow that expression, allowing my heart to guide my thoughts and words, allowing this dimension within myself to bear witness beyond the appearances of the outer world, but seeing the invisible and therefore capable of doing the impossible. And so as each of us in this wondrous connection, this field of oneness, as we imagine all of those who are connected now into this moment, to this present moment, we can now even dive more deeply into the awareness that all things are working together for good. And no matter what may be the outer obstacle or issue or concern, We simply rest in the sure and certain knowing that with God, all things work together for good. With I am, all things work together for good. We are on a mission to participate in a great turning, a great awakening, a great reunion. And each of us has a gift to bring forth, an offering, a puzzle piece, that as we come together, we create a wondrous tapestry that begins to reflect itself into activities and innovations and creativity in the outer world. We wonder with great expectancy what is going to be created as we face all of the challenges that call us into our greatness. For this is what the world needs us. Coming from that place within ourselves that know the truth. And so while each one of us has our own way, our own journey, all paths lead to oneness, to connection, to peace. And so now let us drift into the silence as we just simply open our hearts without words, but with a listening, a leaning in for the still small voice in the silence. Breathe in and release. Breathe in and we release. We release ourselves now into the care and keeping of Spirit, giving thanks in advance for all the wondrous gifts that unfold. And for this we are grateful. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Gary. Well, the phrase, "it came to pass," is found throughout the biblical scriptures and is usually translated to mean something like, "this happened. It came to pass that this happened." But when we consider these four simple words, we can also look at it as, it didn't come to stay. It came to pass, which is my talk title this morning. It came to pass. And today I want to invite us into a deeper exploration of the wisdom behind this phrase, because it really speaks volumes. Whatever the situation I might find myself in, it's important to realize that I can change it. It came to pass. Its form is not permanent. And that's true whether it's something that I don't like or something that I do like. The last time I spoke, I mentioned an ancient Japanese practice called Wabi-Sabi, which finds and honors the beauty inherent in the imperfections of day-to-day existence. But there's another aspect to the practice, and that is embracing the impermanence of life. It comes, it goes, it arises, it falls, it came to pass. A Zen master once held up a cup and said to his students, "You see this cup? For me, it is already broken. I enjoy it. I drink out of it. It holds my tea admirably. But when I put this cup on the table and my elbow brushes it off and it falls to the floor and shatters, I say, of course. When I understand that this cup is already broken, every moment with it is precious. The cup is already broken. It came to pass." Now, this doesn't mean that we become detached and treat life with apathy or have some fatalistic approach to life. The cup's already broken, so why even bother using it? Or why build a sandcastle when it's just going to be washed out to sea? Or we're all going to die anyway, so why try to make the world a better place? No, we're not going there. We want to engage with life, to drink from that cup, not to skim the surface because it's transitory, but to hold it with an open hand, honoring the moment as it arrives, receiving the blessing that it offers, and then letting it go as it leaves, and knowing that every moment of life is precious. So let me ask you, have you found yourself pining for the good old days? How things used to be, back when the word Zoom meant going fast? You ever wish we could return to those times? Or earlier times in your life? There are whole television networks that cater to boomer nostalgia and play only reruns from old TV shows from Perry Mason to the Monkees and everything in between. And while I enjoy my little forays into a slice of the past by watching some of those shows, the truth is we can't go back to those times. They came to pass, and we have moved on, hopefully. If I try to hold on to the past like that, I will suffer. I once saw a skit that Steve Martin did where he played the role of an explorer who was taking us to a land where the people are still living as they did in an age long ago. And he called it the land that time forgot. And let's tune in and watch that right now. Do I have to click again? It's not going to work. The moment comes and it goes. It came to pass. Well, I'll just give you a little.
History and the changes of man have passed it by, and the creatures who live here are from an age long gone. Let's take a look. Hi, peace.
And it goes on from there. There's a time when we let go and move on. But the thing to remember is this: even though that past is gone, the things that we have learned and discovered in our lives in that past time, those gifts remain with us right now. We never lose those. The English physician and social reformer Havelock Ellis writes, "All the art of living..."
History and
Thank you, Steve Martin. "All of the art of living lies in a fine mingling of letting go and holding on." You see, and that is part of the subtlety of Wabi-Sabi, knowing what to let go of and what to bring with us into the present moment. So we want to mine the gifts that we have received from the past while allowing the moment to arise and to fall away. And this is where the practice for me becomes a true art form. So it's okay to look back to the past with fondness. We just don't want to get stuck there. We don't want to stare. We just want to glance back. Living in the past causes us to stop experiencing life as it's happening. The British filmmaker Adam Curtis writes, "If you live in a world where you're constantly replaying the past," there's some words up there that aren't showing up, yes, "you can never imagine a world that has not yet existed." If you live in a world where you're constantly replaying the past, you can never imagine a world that has not yet existed. And you see, that's when we suffer, when we're attached to what was and not moving forward with creating what can be. Now, we learn about attachment from the legend of the Buddha, which begins with telling the story of the young prince Siddhartha Gautama. His father, the king, tried to shelter and shield him from the outside world. And so the prince stayed within the opulent confines of the palace walls and was never subjected to anything disturbing. He had an idyllic life. However, he was always curious about what lay outside those walls, and one day he insisted on going out to see for himself. And as the story goes, he was very shocked to find people who were ill and who were growing old or impoverished or dying. And from his venture outside of the palace walls, he awakened to clearly see how life changes and that impermanence is the inherent nature of physical existence. And he discovered that attachment to the transient things of life causes human suffering. And that is the total key to all of this, attachment. When things change, we can try to hold on to them, kicking and screaming, when the change happens without our permission, especially. We can leave scratch marks from clinging. We can hold on to that broken cup, wanting it to revert back to how it used to be. I have been known to do that. And when I do, I know that the ego is involved. The ego lives for attachment, loves security and permanence, does not like change, gets attached to how things are and tries very hard to keep them that way, in fact, clings to them. And the suffering that happens from that is very ego-driven. It came to pass. Simple words that can lead us through that minefield of change. This realization has recently seen me through the downsizing from an 1,800 square foot 3-bedroom home to a 399 square foot tiny house, and saying goodbye to lots of things. Lots of things. Things that at one time in my life I never thought I could live without. Now, of course, letting go of attachment to things is one thing. Letting go of people who move out of my life, way more challenging. Way more challenging. Many years ago, I had a very significant relationship end against my wishes. And it felt like my whole world was shattered. At that time, I was not up for hearing from anyone that everything in life is temporary. Or I wasn't ready to be told that no one is promised permanence in relationship. I would not have received this news well at the time. All I knew was that I wanted things to go back the way they used to be. And because of my great resistance to what was happening, I experienced firsthand a depth of suffering that I had never known. And I understood what the Buddha was teaching. Wanting things to be the way they used to be and having no control over restoring life back to the way I wanted it, that is a recipe for overwhelming suffering. And the worst part was, I could see no way out of the hell that I was mired in. I admired myself in. I couldn't see how I was ever going to be happy again. Now, as you might imagine, I had some serious grieving to do. But before I could even begin that process, I had to stop fighting what was. I needed time to get beyond the need for my life to be a certain way, and I had to come face to face with acceptance of the impermanence of life. And it took time, and it wasn't easy, but day by day I took pin steps in the right direction. Little by little I started to breathe again, and smile again, and laugh again, and appreciate life again. And some days it felt like I completely backtracked, and I would go, I am never going to get over this. And then I would get back up and keep on walking, keep on taking those pin steps. And every step contributed to releasing the attachment and the suffering, little by little. Imagine being attached to suffering. Now, to be clear, I'm not suggesting that we try to bypass our grieving process when we have lost a loved one, if someone has passed on. Never do that. I remember a story about a Buddhist monk who received word that his mother had died. And he began to sob, and his students were so surprised. Why are you crying when you know about the impermanence of life? And he considered it for a minute, and he said, because I'm sad. And so that we have to do that. Even though we know the truth that we are one and that separation's an illusion, nonetheless, grieving for those who have passed on is important, natural, healthy, necessary, vital work. We never want to short circuit our grief. However, the grieving process, when allowed to run its course, will eventually lead us to acceptance of what is. Acceptance that life on this physical plane has a beginning and an ending, and acceptance that our time here is limited and that forms change, and understanding that as soon as I'm born, I begin the dying process. And everything has a time and a season. And as I learn to gracefully let go of the illusion of control when the season changes, I can now shift how I am relating to those changes. And when we learn this process, we can be a benefit to other people. There is a saying, to turn your mess into a message. And even though I didn't see it at the time, my experience, as debilitating as it was, it helped me to get on the right track, to learn to be engaged with life. And I learned that you can be totally involved with the moment, connected to the people around you with love and compassion, and still retain your wholeness, not lose yourself in a relationship. That was big for me. My karate sensei used to be fond of saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I used to hate it when he started the class with those words. I knew we were in for something decidedly unpleasant, let's say. But what I want to say about my situation was that it felt like a death to me. But I didn't die. It may have felt that way, but I rose above it. I became stronger through the power of the heart and more resilient. Charles Darwin declares it's not about the strongest, it's about the most adaptable to change. See it? That resiliency comes from the heart. Self-compassion is a powerful force that we can use to activate that power within us and help us safely navigate through all of the transitions and the trials of our lives. And that was the biggest discovery for me of all. And that experience taught me a lot. It opened my heart in compassion to all who are suffering in such a way. I had a lot more compassion for others who had had similar experiences and were suffering. It taught me the value of living each day fully, understanding that the present is the only thing I can count on having right now. As the Buddhist nun Pema Chodron writes, welcome the present moment as if you'd invited it in. Why? Because it's all we ever have. Powerful words. And the biggest lesson I learned was that although the world of form is always in a state of flux, there is a power within each one of us that is unchanging. Do you see it? Even in the most heart-connected, perfect, healthy relationship that we could ever have, there is no guarantee that that person will be there tomorrow. There's always possibilities looming of terminal illness, car accidents, all those things. We just can't be guaranteed. So relationships may come and go, but who I truly am, that continues. The divine essence that lives within our hearts, that's eternal. It never leaves us, is always our constant companion throughout all of the changes. There is a power that can see us through whatever is swirling around us in the outer world. It's the eye of the storm. You may have heard of that. A place of peace that is unshakable in the face of the transience of life. And that is true peace. When we discover that power within ourselves, now we can be in a challenging situation and we won't separate from our divine essence, you see. We stay connected to Source. As we heard earlier in our song, God is my source. God is my power. Gives me everything I need. And it's always with us. It lifts us, it carries us, it transports us through all the challenges. It is the power of oneness in action on our physical plane. Deepak Chopra tells us, while we may lose some things when we let go of the past, we find something much more valuable, ourselves, or our true, authentic self. And guess what? We have a golden opportunity right now to discover that deeper dimension of ourselves as we look around at our world right now. Much has changed in the last 6 months. You may have noticed. An astonishing amount of disruption has happened. And last February, if I would have been magically transported right here to this time and place, I would have looked around in total shock and puzzlement and asked, what on earth happened here? Where did everybody go? Should I take it personally? Was it something I said? Did I drive all these people away? Have you ever been wondering if and when life will ever get back to normal? Many of us are asking that question. And while I've discovered how much I miss things the way they were, I have also found a level of flexibility and creativity and a greater trust in the grand scheme of things that I did not know I had. So here's our question. How can our spiritual principles help us to traverse this uncertainty and not only survive the challenges, but use them as evolutionary drivers to thrive and become a greater expression of who we've come here to be? Isn't that a great question? Really? How do we put into practice the theories that we study in these troubling times? How do we bring into manifestation the truth that we know? Well, one good news about us not liking the way things are, is that they have come to pass. Things change. And we can be the change agents to bring it forth. The author Tama Keeves suggests it's time to remake the world with love and excellence through an inspired revolution. And that inspired revolution begins with a change of perception. We need to move from our head, the egoic view of the world and what's happening, to the holistic perspective of the heart, where we see it rightly. When I remember that what appears solid and stable and immovable, secure, is really empty space at various rates of vibration, that helps me to see the transitory nature of the physical world and to let go of the attachment to things. It gets much easier when I remember that. And while it's necessary for us to view the world as solid and real in order to actually live in this manifest realm, at the same time, our spiritual work is to remember, to have double vision, to see it and to know that in back of it all is the true reality, capital R. And that discovery can only come as we let go of what was and see beyond the past. From a holistic perspective of oneness and interbeing, we make the quantum leap from seeing to actually knowing that a new and different future awaits. What's happened in the past has nothing to do with the next thought I choose. It has nothing to do with what happens in the future, because right now, in the present moment, anything is possible. So the past does not equal the future. And the power to change it lies in the present moment. But when we stay stuck in memories of the past, it intrudes upon the present and makes it uninhabitable. Instead, we need to be drinking deeply from the wisdom that is only accessible to us in the present moment in our hearts. And as I look around at a rapidly changing world, as I long for normal life to return, I find myself once more learning that the world of form changes, but the infinite is unchanging. No matter what's happened in the past, it is right now that the power lies for transformation, and it lies within every single one of us. The Trappist monk, Father Thomas Keating, describes humanity as localized vibrations of the infinite goodness of God's presence. I love that. And that is unchanging. That is our superpower. That is our work, to be a localized vibration of the emergence of spirit. And I recently read that spirit awaits our call, our invitation. It doesn't force itself into expression. We need to turn to it, welcome its presence, and then demonstrate its emergence. And as we let go of the past and step into who we've come here to be, welcoming the infinite goodness of spirit to fill our hearts, the next step is to ask for guidance to help us mine the gold in the situation. And it's through the higher perspective of spirit that the treasure now becomes accessible to us. We stop trying to control. We stop trying to make it be the way we want, and we start to appreciate the gift that it has brought to us. You see? Now, I had to get there before I could truly be free of the suffering from the ending of that relationship. So look for and find the gift in whatever is happening in your world right now. And you want to ask yourself some more questions. Here's one. What have I learned in this dark time that I would not have learned if life as usual was going on? That's a great question. And I want to invite all of us to ruminate on that and to share your answers on our Facebook page, or email them to me, Dr. Jane at unityspokane.org. I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you've learned. And the next question, how can I, how can I use this experience to dig deeper, to find my authentic self? Those two questions can really give us some guidance as to how we can be in this present situation and be a change agent for good. And I want to hear what you've learned and how you can use that learning to discover a deeper dimension of your words, of who you are. Remember, your words can help someone who's struggling right now. What have you learned, and how can you use it to find that other dimension of who you are and also to benefit others who are struggling? It's time for us to be doing this work, to step into our power if we want to create a world that works for all, being who we've truly come here to be, knowing that things come to pass, and engaging with the present moment, vibrating with the infinite goodness of spirit, being source in action on this physical plane, finding the gift inherent in whatever is showing up, every one of us here to be the change, to usher in a new paradigm of living, transforming our lives and inspiring others to step into their truth and make a positive difference in our world. And you can feel the ripple effect from that. So let's remember, things can change. They come to pass. And each one of us has a golden opportunity right now to be an instrument of the coming forth of the new. And so it is.
All right. Okay, so let's take it to heart.
Shall we?
All right. So I had to write this down. I love this, what you had to say. When we stay stuck in memories of the past, it intrudes on the present moment, making it uninhabitable. And that's so true. And if we just think about any time we've worried or got anxious or triggered or whatever, the past has sort of found its way into our current now moment, and it really makes what the present moment can become uninhabitable, because you can't access the field of infinite possibilities. If you got stuff going on from the past, you can't connect up to your own capacity to connect up with your own intuitive guidance and awareness. There's so much that happens that can't happen when we're stuck in the past.
It's true, and not only that, but we'll try to escape the present moment then.
right.
We'll do all things to distract ourselves or, addictive behavior, whatever it is, because we want to escape the present moment because it feels uninhabitable.
That's right. We either are living in the past, or we're dealing with the present situation, but all of our coping strategies are coming from our our issues, our patterns. We don't like what's going on. I mean, you remember when we ordered the gazebo for our deck? We have this deck.
I remember it so well.
and so it took us about a month for the delivery to happen, and when it happened, it was only just the roof, so just one box. So, 2 boxes, and the biggest part, the gazebo part, never made it, and it was a total inconvenience, and all the consternation that I went through in order to kind of get the order to happen or find out what's going on or whatever.
Yeah, I had words with the universe over that.
And so just 3 days ago, it finally arrived. And so it not only arrived, but it had the other roof part too. So we had 2 packages and then an extra package that was just the roof part. And then all day yesterday, I was spending time constructing this, only to discover that had I not have that extra package of roof parts, I would never have been able to complete it. And so it illustrates to me how we're our own worst enemy for almost all of our lives when we live out of our anxiety or out of our small self.
And out of resistance.
And out of resistance.
Resisting what that's my biggest spiritual practice, is stopping that resistance and or at least getting to acceptance sooner than I usually do.
That's right.
But it really is our practice. But if we remember that we are change agents.
That's right.
And every moment there's another present moment offering itself to us to make the changes that we're looking for in the world.
That's right. Awesome talk today. All right, well, we want to take this moment now to also acknowledge the physical needs of our community. And so we just want everybody to know that we have been blessed to be able to borrow money that we can have forgiven to offset some of our expenses, and that money has supported us and allowing our staff and everybody to work full time. But now that the money's run out and we now have to deal with the reality of it's just up to us now. And our reality is that what's coming forth is not enough to be able to manage without our really looking at our expense side. So we invite all of you who support this church to do what you can do during these times and support us. Make your gift automatic so it comes to us regularly. And at any rate, we want to take this time to affirm our offertory blessing for all the gifts that are given to us, and in honor of the tradition that has led to the abundance that has been forthcoming in all good ways. We click the ceremonial Dr. Jim Sledge alert. It's time now to. Okay, so let's share this together. I know that my giving blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I give and receive. I give thanks for the abundance that is mine to share. All right, so once again, we want to thank everybody for their support. And we're going to, after this, we're going to go into our Zoom meet and greet session. Next Sunday, we're going to close with the prayer for protection. But I don't have that slide today, so we're just going to make sure it's in the deck next week, and I'll invite you all to share it with us. And so let's go to Sean and Tawny, and we'll see you on the Zoom meet and greet soon.
have to mention to some of you, I have a love of Christ-like entities, such as Siddhartha and Kuan Yin, and I always change up who I have on the table in the back, and if you notice, Jane, there's Siddhartha, which you, of course, talked about. And when we can learn to let go of situations, I do think we all have the ability to find love.
Does your peace of mind seem hard to find? Do you find it's missing still? Do you feel behind, or that you're going blind? Your life can change, and it will. You will find love. You will find love. You will find love. It's waiting for you still. Thoughts can run away. That's why we pray for loving good that's to be found. And God's loving care is in every prayer. It's in every touch, in every sight, in every sound. You will find love. You will find love. You will find love. It's waiting for you still. You will find love. You will find love. You will find love. It's waiting for you still.
All right, so I guess we have a request of our peace song. So we'll close up with an old familiar.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God our Creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step step I take, let this be my solemn vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternal.